Welcome everybody to episode 9 of the Broad Reach podcast, and we just want to say thanks so much for all of the views we got on our last video, which is, we're just amazed, and thanks so much for everybody who shared it, especially Kirsten and Simon and Captain Goog, all of the people who are in charge of their social media and Instagram especially. Thanks for sharing our stories, because it's broadened our reach. Sorry for a terrible pun, but and also to Guy Waits' wife reached out to us, and thanks so much for all the feedback. We really appreciate it. So we're going to pass over to Sean now, I think, and have a look at the tracker, see what's going on with the race. I think Jeremy might have just rounded the horn.
So I'll just share my screen there in a second. Can you see that, Shane?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a quick thing to point out that we've got the comments on the YouTube channel are increasing every time we post a video. So it's really brilliant for us, because we get questions in there which give us ideas for additional things, and we try to cover those things in the upcoming episodes. So it's really brilliant for us when people post comments. So we would encourage you to keep doing that. And thanks to all those that have done so already. It's really helpful. So we'll just do a quick one-liner on everybody, and we'll start from the front today, which we started from the back previous couple of times. Kirsten has had pretty much a nightmare for the last few days. She's been pretty much parked, and I'm going to show you some stats in a minute which really illustrate it. I don't think you've seen this yet, Shane, so I'm going to spring something on you. But she's doing 3.5 knots. She's finally moving. Abhilash has been catching up incredible amount, as has Simon. Gug has been parked as well, extremely frustrating for him. Motissier is saving his soul. I don't know, has he turned yet? It looks like he's thinking about it. Yeah, I think I'm not quite sure. It looks like he's maybe in doubt here, but he's going to go off here to the east. We know that. Jeremy incredibly has rounded Cape Horn, and Ian is on his way. It looks like Ian has a weather window over the next week or so to get around without, touch wood, any major storms. So hopefully he will. And we know that Guy is back here, and we'll have a quick look at where Guy is as well. We also see Knox Johnson is making slow and steady progress as well. So that's a very high level overview. Don mentioned in one of the tracker updates about Jeremy passing. I think he passed within 14 miles of the Horn, 12 or 14 miles of the Horn, and he was wondering if Jeremy had seen it. Now, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I think, when he rounded, so he may have seen the lighthouse, and we can take a look at that in a minute, Shane, because I have an avionics electronic chart where we can actually see there is two lighthouses here, and we can actually check whether we think Jeremy would have been able to see that. So this is the deltas statistics that we were looking at last week. So these numbers here, like if we take, say, Simon, within the last 7 days, he's gained 500 miles on Kirsten.
Wow.
Yeah. In the last 72 hours, 320. That's my understanding of what I'm looking at anyway. And Abhilash has gained... Yeah, Abhilash has gained 246, which is essentially 2 days. So Gug has lost a little bit and then gained gained overall, say, in 72 hours, lost a little bit in the last 24 hours. So
what saying, they're all about to hit that same low, Sean, aren't they?
Yeah, so I will come back to the tracker again, Shane, to talk about that in a bit more detail. To look at, very briefly the weather over the next few days. Kirsten is moving, and she's fairly well positioned, I think, in that she will get strong wind, but she's lost a lot over the last few days. Now, obviously, Simon can overtake, and it makes no difference to the race. I mean, it's still between, at the moment it's between Kirsten and Abilash. Of course, we mentioned Gug is still very much in the running. Ian is very much in the running. And Jeremy, of course, is in Chichester class as well. So it's between Simon and Jeremy really for Chichester, although we know, at least we feel that Simon, would love to have the line honours, as they would call it, by getting first across the line at Les Abdelon. But the actual race itself, it wouldn't be relevant for that purpose.
It's amazing to see the amount of miles she's sailed up the top of the screen as well. It's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah. Wow. So like 25,000 of 27,000, we'd say. So 84. Yeah, I hadn't seen that. 84% of it. So we're really on the homeward stretch. I just take a look at the speed log as well. I really enjoyed this one. Look at, it's all reds, yellows, oranges here for Kirsten. Look at Simon. Green, green, green. And when we talked about Simon last week, when I was making my prediction, it wasn't anything like this. So it's even more so in the last week. He's gained on both Abilash and Kirsten. So it's pretty incredible.
In his last call to Don, Simon was talking, and he was describing his current sailing as slightly uncomfortable. He's on a beam reach, but he's it's getting warmer and warmer, and he's really enjoying himself, and it just sounds like he's in his element.
Yeah, I mean, he's loving it. And I didn't plan on showing this. This is Padstow, Shane, which I mentioned last week. I happened to be looking at it curiously in Cornwall. That's one of the harbours that I said was fabulous. I'll just zoom out there to give people context of where that is on the southwest coast of England. But what I want to show is Cape Horn and the lighthouses. So we can actually zoom in here and check on the chart. And I saw one of the comments, somebody mentioned they would check on the chart. So I just thought that was interesting. I find charts fascinating myself. I know you've got a big, massive world, like a chart of the world chain, which we need to get you to show us maybe next week, because it's really cool. And you've plotted the positions of some of the competitors on that. So it'd be nice to get an update from you on that. So maybe you can show that to us next week. But for now, for now, we just look at the electronics. So there's one lighthouse here, and we can click that and just check it. It tells us Cabo, that's just in Spanish, Cabo de Hornos. White flashing light, period of 12 seconds with a range of 7 miles, having white flashing light with a period of 12 seconds in range. So he's not going to have seen that if I think it was 14 miles out, 12 or 14.
Wow, that's really cool.
There's another one,
a bit of information.
It's amazing. It's crucial, Shane, really, when you're navigating, so you know whether you should see a lighthouse or not. And obviously the height of the lighthouse has an impact as well on the actual range. So let's just check this one. Light. So this is white flashing a period of 5 seconds, and that's, they have different periods and different flashing sequences, so you can identify which light is which and make sure you're looking at the right one. Then, of course, you can do things like 3-point fixing and all of that sort of stuff. So this is a range of 12 miles. So it's possible that he could potentially have seen that one. He's within 12, 14. So maybe he saw that. It's not crucial that he saw Cape Horn, but I'm sure it's nice to see it when you're around it. Because it's so famous. But anyway, that's just I just thought that was really interesting, just to show, what's really, because Jeremy's probably looking at the chart going, what can I see? And he's probably got a paper version of this, and he's zooming in, and the paper version will tell him the same information that's on the electronic. It'll be written onto the actual chart.
That's excellent.
So he'll know then what it is that he's after. I'm going to share quickly Guy's blog so we can see where he is. So just give me a second. Sagarmatha. So here's Guy. So he's still trucking along. He's somewhere behind Ian, making progress. I don't have an update on the blog, but we maybe will check on his Facebook page for next week and see if we can get an actual update from Guy.
It's just his position strictly, is it, John? You don't see his speed or anything.
That's all I can get on it. We get his speed here. His course is 68 at 6.3. So he's going he's going like east northeast at 6.3 knots. So he's flying. But that's as much as I have, Shane, on it. So we'll maybe check Guy's Facebook page and see if we can get an update, or if anyone's watching and has an update on Guy or wants to give us or have some information they'd like to share, then we can certainly look at that for next week. I will also share a funny post that I got from another competitor. 1 second. I'm sharing screen.
Sean, can I ask you just a basic sailing question?
Sure.
If I'm in a yacht passing Guy Waits and I want to contact them on the radio, is there just a generic frequency that you're supposed to be on if you're out?
Yeah. Brilliant question.
Sailing? Yeah.
So if on a VHF radio, you're on channel 16 all the time.
Oh.
That's like that's where all of the rescues are initiated from. That's where that's your starting point, your monitoring channel. So whenever you leave like if you're leaving a marina, the marina might be VHF channel 12 as an example. You might be on channel 12 just talking to the marina if you need to get permission. Certain marinas you need to get, and certain ports need to get permission to actually leave. So you might be on 12 and talking to the marina and saying, look, I'm leaving my berth now. And they'll say, yeah, go ahead. But then as soon as you're out, you're on to channel 16 again. If they don't get you on channel 12, they'll probably get you on 16.
That's an international thing. People are like, oh, channel 16.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's something I always look out for when I'm watching a film about sailing, like All Is Lost, the Robert Redford one. The one I was telling you about. We should really do an update on that because I love that movie. And a lot of people criticize it because of all the mistakes that he made and things. He wouldn't have done this, but I like it because people make mistakes, and there's nobody, like, everybody's human and nobody's going to do everything right, and that's what I like about it. Now it goes kind of into outer space. The plot sort of goes mad at one stage, but I really recommend it, and I've watched it twice. So we'll talk about it after you watch it. But here's an update from Pat. Speaking of well, no, there's no issue, but Pat witnessed lightning, and remember, I don't know if Pat told us on the interview that we did with him, Shane, or did he tell us offline? But he was hit by lightning before, right?
Yeah, I can't remember if it was our interview or it might possibly have been. I think it was when he did the interview on his boat with is it Sailing World magazine? That woman who
yes.
She went on a few boats.
Yachting World,
sorry.
It might have been Katie, actually.
I think he was telling her he got hit by lightning on a fishing boat years ago, so he's kind of terrified of lightning. I think it was in response to, have you any fears going into the race? So I think he was saying, I really want to avoid lightning.
Yeah, so and here's his latest update. This is from yesterday. So he's delighted with the rugby. So I mean, what can we say, Shane? We're from Ireland. We're delighted with the victory over Scotland at the weekend, and we'll all be watching the Ireland versus England game at the weekend. So if anybody, I'm in Dublin and Shane's down in Cork and can make it to Dublin very quickly. So if anybody happens to have 2 spare tickets, we would be delighted to represent the Broad Reach podcast. Unfortunately, we don't have a corporate box, but maybe someday. So yeah, we're all looking forward. So best of luck, and may the best team win. That's as diplomatic as I can be. But Pat certainly enjoyed it. I don't know how he watched it or what he was doing. Was he listening? Was he getting some kind of radio feed? But he obviously got the result. But yeah, look, a flash cracked in the water beside the boat. It boiled. Scary stuff. I have seen it twice, once in Sweden, once in Croatia, and it's an awful situation being in lightning. It's not nice at all, and it's just there's not a whole pile that you can do. But I can. Anyway, look, that's the update from Pat. I want to give another quick update as well, because I promised I would do this last week, and just give me 1 second, and then I'm towards the end of my screen sharing, Shane. So you'll be delighted to know that I'm close to finishing with it.
We love it.
So here's Spirit. So this is Guy DeBoer's page, and Spirit Adventures is the Facebook page. He's documenting the rebuild of his boat. Lots of updates from Guy, and this is his official page, which he previously was working off his own page, but now he's working off Spirit Adventures, Spirit being the name of his boat. He's also got a GoFundMe here, so check that out as well from Guy.
Go back and watch our interview with him if you haven't seen it in a previous episode.
Absolutely. There's one final thing that I want to share, but it's very important, Shane, and it's something that the two of us have talked about a lot over the last number of months, and it's a website. It's a service called Passage Guardian, and essentially it's one guy, as far as we're aware, that's been essentially just share his website. So it's a guy called Peter Mott from New Zealand who's been sharing weather information with all the competitors in the race whenever they can contact him via HF radio. It's a free service, and he's doing this for free, and seems like for the love of it. He works off donations, so you can donate. Like, what he's doing really has blown my mind in terms of the amount of work that goes into this. And you can, he explains how it works here. You can actually, if you're doing a trip, you can submit a plan of your trip to him, and it's a free of charge service where he'll give you weather updates. It's under how it works, I think here. I forget where is it. Yeah, how it works. So this explains exactly what he's doing. You need an AIS on your boat, and he gives you up-to-date weather. Obviously, it's not official weather, but what he's doing really is incredible, and it's really helping out those the competitors in the race. And I think I mentioned last week, Kirsten was able to talk to Ian and relay some messages via Peter in Passage Guardian. So look, well done to Peter. It's incredible what he's doing.
Well done, Peter. What an incredible thing to do. It's fantastic.
That's pretty much it from me, Shane. There was one other. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to share my screen briefly. I just wanted to show a small bit of footage, just in case people who are watching our channel don't know about it. The Golden Globe Race official YouTube channel, they have some amazing footage of all the skippers when they left Les Sables d'Olonne going to Lanzarote, and they filmed some stuff on board and dropped the footage off at the first gate. And just in case you haven't seen it, I'm just going to share my screen there and just briefly show a little bit.
Yeah, we can see that, Shane.
Brilliant. So this is Captain Cook. So good, it is so good. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. This is sailing vessel Nuri. I'm taking part in the Golden Globe race without electronic aid sailing around the world, and I would ask if you would be so kind and share my position with myself. Thank you.
5 minutes north, 008 degrees, 13.
I'm just going to pause that there. and I'm going to show a little bit of Guy Waits. And
Shane, what I love about this is, like, you know, we're looking at the tracker every day. We're listening to SoundClouds, and sometimes we forget that, you know, there's real people in these boats. And just looking at this, I haven't seen this footage in ages. I did look at it at the time, but I haven't looked at this footage in ages. It's actually really refreshing just to see, you know, he's on the radio. These lads and ladies are out there, and you know, like Guy is out there as well. I know. I was thinking about this the other week. Like Guy, while he's not in the race, he's doing this as well. And it's the exact same challenge as everybody else. He's going around the world, and he's out there.
Incredible. Yeah, that's the reason I wanted to share it, just to remind people again what it's all about. And there's some great footage here of Guy throwing out a spinnaker. It's coming up shortly. But the quality of some of this footage is just lovely, like, and I would recommend everybody to go back. There's some from all of the skippers, and all of them bring something new. You can see inside each of their cabins. I've just sound off there, but Guy Waits is just talking about a little broken shackle, and
you might need to unshare Gug and then reshare Shane, because I can just see Captain Gug in his boat at the moment. Can see a spinnaker, looks like. Oh, he's wrapping the spinnaker. Looks like that's a nightmare of a task. Well, it can be a nightmare of a task. Trying to, he's put that into the bag ready to deploy can be, well, it's hard going.
You know that jacket, Sean?
From the Clipper race. Yeah, brilliant. Guy, of course, completed the Clipper race. I think we mentioned it in episode 1, round the world race. I did a leg of it myself. I think that's why Shane is alluding to me knowing it. But that's many years ago, 2015. This is amazing stuff.
Yeah, he's getting down there to do a repair. I'm just going to stop sharing there now.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
But just wanted to give people an idea and remind people about this race, these individuals going out there, and I mean, it's devoid of madmen. It's the physical battle, the mental battle, you know, and those film drops. You know, I was thinking as well about Motissier. I just wanted to talk a little bit about, in case people don't know. You know, we have satellite calls with all of these skippers, but back in the day, to get a message back, Bernard Motissier was trying to slingshot messages onto boats. Yes. You know, and he did that when he turned around to go to Tahiti. He slingshotted a message onto a boat saying, you know, I'm going to go and save my soul now. Yeah, it's just those onboard footage that really brings home the race and what's happening. So I would recommend everyone to go back and look at those.
Yeah, it's brilliant. There was one thing, Shane, which I meant to mention last week, which is, did you hear about Kirsten tying the knot? Did you hear that expression?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I heard them. I heard them talking about that.
So I'd never heard that expression before, but it makes sense. And what that is it's here, you see. She's gone over her original track. So she's, I mean, it's not, I guess you could say she's circumnavigated already. Now, I don't think it counts because it's something to do with the number of miles needs to be equivalent to the circumference of the equator or something like that. I can't, there's a technicality to it. But I mean, she's crossed her outbound track. I mean, think about it, right? You go this way, right? You keep going this way in a boat and you end up back here. she ended up at the same point by going east.
That's immense.
I can't get my head around that. And I was only thinking about this the other day on the street, just talking to somebody, like talking about this race and going, look, if I walk that way, eventually, I know we know this, but do we really think about it? It's incredible. It really is incredible. She sailed over her own spot by going in one direction all the time. That blows my mind.
Yeah, it's incredible. The amount of miles that they've sailed, and to see them coming to an end now, it's going to be really exciting.
There was one other thing, Shane, which I just wanted to talk about before we wrap up, which is Ian is stuck on Reef Tree. I don't know if you heard about that, but he's got a rip in his mainsail. I think it's like 25, 30 centimeters long, and he doesn't feel like he's got an opportunity to take it down. So he's going to sail on, and he's going to wait until he rounds Cape Horn to fix it. So essentially, when he's in kind of decent conditions, let's have a look where he's in now. Well, probably now he's in like 25, 30 knots. So, okay, he might be on Reef 2, Reef 3 anyway, and he's paying off here a little bit. So, look, it probably suits him now. But when he was in lighter winds, he might want to be on, say, Reef. Like, the reef essentially is how much power your boat has. And Reef 3 is your mainsail has been depowered to the minimum amount of power. So you full main, then you've got Reef 1 where it's depowered somewhat. Reef 2, it's depowered even more, and Reef 3, it's at its minimum size. So it's the smallest triangle of sail that you can get up in the mainsail. That's what that's about. I know people were wondering about that, and I saw questions coming in about that. So I just wanted to explain. So essentially, Ian is on Reef Tree. He's going to be stuck on Reef Tree until he gets around Cape Horn. So if he's got stronger winds, he'd probably be okay as long as they're not too strong. But I mean, look, that's just a touch wood situation going around Cape Horn anyway. But when the wind eases off kind of into the green, then he might want to what's called shake out a reef, which means you might want to go from Reef 3 to Reef 2 and power up the boat a little bit and get around quicker. So he's not going to have that luxury until he gets around Cape Horn. That's the decision that he feels comfortable with, and he's done that because he just doesn't feel like he can do it safely. So that Don was talking about that as well this morning. I just thought it was an interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting how you're actually hampering yourself by going slower in a way. It's a safety thing, really. Like you need to sail probably as close to your max as possible to try and avoid getting caught in maybe systems or, exactly. We spoke before about the lee shore. Like, you don't want a situation where you're going slow enough to be succumb to the tides pushing you in, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, so look, exactly, that's exactly the point. If you got the window to go around, get around. But look, obviously it's not as simple. He's got a tear in the sail. He'd have to take it off, probably take it off the boom completely, bring it down below, start sewing it. And look, these things are not straightforward, especially when you're on your own. If you've got a crew, it's a different story. It's even still tricky, And again, look, I think, as the kind of final point, I think it's hats off to Jeremy. Anyone that can round Cape Horn, it's a massive achievement. And I think we'll mark that as everybody goes round, including Guy when he gets around.
Absolutely. And good luck to Ian as he approaches it. Hopefully he can get around and join the rest of the group. And it's going to be interesting to see if Simon catches up to Kirsten and Abalash now, because he's sailing. He's really going for it, Simon. He's just letting it all happen, and he's not being conservative. So it's going to be an interesting race to the finish. So I think we might wrap it up there, Sean. And if everyone wants to join us for episode 10 next week, we might see a lot more developments. And if you have any comments or questions, please let us know. We've got some interesting episodes in the pipeline. We can't wait to share them with you. So thanks a million for watching again.